Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members, and fellow Coloradans. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today about Senate Bill 26027, better known as the PEACE Act. I've dedicated my career to defending the Constitution, fighting for justice, fairness, and the well-being of our families, drawing from my own experiences serving in the military, where I saw firsthand the toll that broken systems and the negative effects have on good citizens. Candidly, before delving into this arena of custody rights and sponsoring this bill, I had no idea just how severely broken our family court system truly is. Sure, I have heard the horror stories from friends, family, or constituents negatively impacted by ugly custody battles. I would venture to say that there's a high probability that we all know someone in our circles who have experienced such devastating destruction and the heartbreak that loving moms, great dads, and especially the innocent children have endured in Colorado's courtrooms. I personally can relate, as my parents had a tumultuous divorce. My mom got 100% custody and my father only got weekends with us. He was embittered, and the animosity compounded the already emotional circumstances. But even after having experienced that, I didn't fully grasp the full severity until I investigated the concerns of those impacted. And what did I find? A system riddled with injustice that fails our families at their most vulnerable moments. Of course, I wanted to help and create a better outcome, a better life for these families. So what exactly is SB 26027, the PEACE Act? At its core, this bill establishes a presumption of equal shared parenting in custody cases unless clear evidence proves a parent is unsafe or unfit. It requires judges to base decisions on facts, not biases or unsubstantiated claims. If a judge deviates from equal parenting, they must document their reasons in writing, ensuring transparency and accountability. This isn't about favoring one parent over another. It's about protecting the sacred bond between children and both parents, giving kids the stability they deserve. Why is this needed? Because our current family courts have failed repeatedly. They've failed children by allowing broad judicial discretion that ignores valid evidence and accepts flimsy allegations as gospel. They've failed parents by lacking due process and offering zero accountability for judges, lawyers, custody evaluators, or even litigants who game the system. Emotions run sky high in these cases, and false allegations of child abuse or domestic violence have become a weapon of choice. Why? Because there's no penalty for lying, no scrutiny for malice. These fabrications drain precious resources from families truly in danger, desensitize courts and law enforcement to real threats, and devastate the falsely accused, ripping children from loving parents and scarring them for life. I've heard from moms who've been painted as unstable for daring to work full-time, and dads stripped of their rights based on whispers without a proof. They are deemed guilty and then have to incur great expenses in the courts to prove their innocence. This isn't America. We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. This happens every day in Colorado, turning courtrooms into battlegrounds where bias reigns supreme. Supporters and opponents of this bill agree on the problems. There's too much discretion for the judge, no due process, no accountability, but where we diverge is simple. Sadly, those opposed to this bill want allegations accepted on faith alone, allowing courts to sever parent-child bonds without evidence. Truly, this is unacceptable. Both parent-child relationships are paramount and critical to a child's health, safety, and well-being. They must be protected with equal vigor and scrutiny. The PEACE Act demands proof before limiting a parental role, restoring fairness and justice to a system that's long abandoned it. Let's talk about the benefits for children, for parents, and for society as a whole. First and foremost, for our kids, Decades of research show that children thrive when both parents are equally involved. They're healthier, safer, better off by every metric. Social acceptance soars, autonomy builds, peer relations strengthen, self-perception improves, school satisfaction rises, physical health flourishes, psychological well-being deepens, moods stabilize, emotions balance, relationships with parents deepen, and even access to financial resources expands. They become productive citizens, which benefits our society and helps bring peace. But why we deny them, the outcomes are devastating. Consider the stark statistics. Children raised in a single-parent home face exponentially higher risk. They're 5 times more likely to commit suicide, 30 times more likely to become homeless or runaways, 20 times more prone to behavioral disorders, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 9 times more likely to end up in juvenile detention, 10 times more susceptible to substance abuse. Boys in these homes are 14 times more likely to commit rape, girls 7 times more likely to become teen mothers. Poverty strikes 4 times harder, and staggering 85% of incarcerated adults grew up without both parents actively involved. And you can only imagine the impacts of such behavior in our communities and society. And how about safety? The CDC states that child abuse occurs at the hands of females approximately 53% of the time, and 46% for males. For many, that stat is surprising, but when both parents share equally, the abuse drops, domestic violence decreases, parental conflict diminishes, and litigation plummets. Evidence from other states and jurisdictions prove it. Equal shared parenting reduces these harms across the board, and peace is increased. For parents, the benefits are profound. No more endless court battles fueled by retribution. When there's justice, real evidence-based justice, parents feel heard and respected. Studies show this leads to less bitterness, less vengeance, and that's why we call it the PEACE Act, promoting equality and accountability in child custody enforcement. It fosters peace by ensuring decisions are fair, reducing the urge for parents to lash out or seek revenge through the system. Parents can co-parent effectively, focusing on their kids instead of fighting each other. And for society, healthier kids means safer communities, fewer dropouts, less crime, reduced poverty, lower incarceration rates. It all cascades into a stronger and peaceful Colorado. We save taxpayer dollars on welfare, prisons, and social services. We build a generation that's resilient, productive, and whole. Imagine Colorado, where children wake up knowing both parents are there for them, guiding, loving, supporting, where courts prioritize facts over fiction, protecting families instead of tearing them apart. That's the promise of PEACE Act. We've seen it work in states in Kentucky and Arizona, where similar reforms have slashed conflict and boosted child outcomes. I'm fighting for the mothers. I'm fighting for the fathers. And I'm certainly fighting for those precious children. There may be those who maybe came into this room with a formulated opinion of this bill, but I ask that you listen to those who are going to testify, not only in support of this bill, but they're actually begging for it to pass. Please listen to the heartache, pain, and the injustice due to our current judicial system. Maintaining the status quo is unacceptable. Our courts have failed them for too long. Lives have been destroyed. Let's pass SB 26027 and take this significant step toward healing for our children who deserve both parents. For our parents who deserve justice, for our society which deserves peace. I ask for your support and vote yes on SB 26027 because every child in Colorado is counting on us. Thank you.